Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we have a very special video if you are considering traveling or moving to Northern Europe. We're gonna talk about Estonia and Finland. More precisely, Estonia versus Finland. Estonia and Finland are two countries in Northern Europe. They have many similarities, but also many differences. They both offer a high quality of life and great opportunities for job seekers and entrepreneurs. They also share a number of cultural and historic elements, and even a pretty similar language. However, they share important differences in many aspects, such as taxes, residence permits, and ease of doing business. Let's compare these two countries in terms of job market, cost of living, real estate, visas and residence permits, taxes, weather and climate, and the language. And after that, we will have a verdict regarding which country is the best option considering your ambitions and goals. And before we start with the actual content, the usual talk: if you want to travel, move, or invest abroad, hit the like button, check our other videos, and most importantly, subscribe. Let's start. First of all, Estonia and Finland, countries in Northern Europe, both with a coast on the Baltic Sea. Finland is a much larger country in territory and population. Estonia is also a much younger country, as it just regained its independence after the Soviet occupation in the 90s. Both countries are full EU members and use the euro currency. As I said, Estonia was occupied by the Soviet Union. Finland was also part of the Russian Empire, but that's way back. But this fact is very important because it caused a critical difference in how the economy of Estonia and Finland are currently different. The first aspect we will compare is the job market in Finland and in Estonia. During the past few years, unemployment has been higher in Finland than in Estonia, although the gap is narrowing. Salaries in Finland are still significantly higher than in Estonia, but the gap is also narrowing. Salaries in Estonia have grown sharply during the past decade. In fact, during the past decade, Estonia was one of the fastest growing countries in the European Union in terms of real GDP growth. In Finland, however, the wage growth was quite modest in the past 10 years. Average net salaries are about 2,500 euros per month in Helsinki, and half of that in Tallinn. Both net figures. It is definitely easier to find a job in Estonia than in Finland if you are an expat. Estonia is doing a lot of efforts to bring foreign talent, and it has a number of advantages, such as low taxes and a higher rank in ease of doing business. Since salaries are lower in Estonia, it also makes more sense for companies to set up shop in Estonia and then bring foreign talent at a lower overall cost than in Finland. However, if you manage to find a job in Finland, although that will be a harder task, the pay will be also higher. So if you can find a job in Finland or in Estonia, if it's the same job, probably it's a better option to get the job in Finland. Now we're gonna talk about the cost of living. While both countries are EU members and use the euro single currency, the cost of living in Estonia and Finland are greatly different. Finland is considerably more expensive than Estonia. That is the case in every aspect of the cost of living. So when we consider real estate, property prices, regardless if you want to buy or rent, groceries, and services, there's a huge difference between Estonia and Finland. While the differences are not so sharp when you consider going to the supermarket, for example, the price of housing or any type of service is much higher in Finland. Since both countries are in the European Union and use the euro currency, their level of economic stability is quite similar. So there's no advantage, for example, in choosing a bank in Estonia or one in Finland. In terms of safety, they are currently pretty much the same. Next topic, real estate. Real estate is probably the aspect with the strongest differences between Estonia and Finland. This is especially the case if we compare the capital of Finland, Helsinki, and the capital of Estonia, Tallinn. Currently, prices per square meter in Helsinki are more than double of what they are in Tallinn. The same applies if you compare smaller cities in Finland with smaller cities in Estonia. For example, if you compare Turku, which is in Finland, with Tartu, which is the second biggest city in Estonia, Turku is much more expensive than Tartu, both for renting as well as buying property. Rental yields and growth potential are slightly higher in Tallinn than Helsinki. So if you want to invest in real estate, probably Tallinn is the best choice if we consider the whole of Estonia and the whole of Finland, especially if we consider potential future growth. The next factor in our comparison is visa and residence permits, which is very important if you're considering to stay in one of these countries and you are a non-EU citizen. Visa and residence permit policies in Estonia and Finland are quite similar and relatively flexible. Both countries offer visa options for freelancers and entrepreneurs. and if you want to go to Estonia or Finland for a higher education diploma, you can stay in the country for some months in both countries. So if you study in Finland, you can stay in Finland to look for a job after you finish your degree. The same applies to Estonia. Estonia offers a new type of visa for digital nomads, but I consider the residence permit for self-employed persons a better deal, as this kind of residence permit can lead to permanent residency and then citizenship. Since overall costs and taxes are lower in Estonia, I tend to think that a residence permit in Estonia is a better deal than a residence permit in Finland if you are an independent business person. The next topic is taxes. Taxes are another aspect in which Estonia and Finland are extremely different. Corporate taxes in Finland are competitive to those in Estonia. But in Estonia, you can defer tax payments if you reinvest the capital in the company. You also can get a lower rate if you meet some conditions. So Estonia wins at a corporate level. At a personal level, Estonia is much more attractive than Finland with a flat tax rate of 20%. In Finland, personal income tax is progressive at a national level, and there is also a hefty municipal tax. If you are a high-income earner, it can go above 50%. So in terms of taxes, Estonia beats Finland with a huge margin. Then we move to weather and climate. The weather and climate are similar in Estonia and Finland. They are both ranked among the coldest countries in Europe and in the world. Most of the Finnish population lives in the south of the country, in which the climate is nearly identical as in Estonia. However, if you travel north in Finland, temperatures are even lower and the climate is subarctic in most of the country. So most cities in Finland are actually in the south of the country. If you find a job, it will probably be in one of these parts which are less cold, let's say, but they are still pretty cold. Same applies to Estonia, not as cold as some parts of Finland, but pretty cold overall. Then we move to infrastructure. Infrastructure in Estonia and Finland are excellent in both countries. Finland has been a highly developed nation for many decades. Considering its low population density, it still has a great railway network, even if you go up north in the country, where the population density is even lower. The infrastructure in Estonia has developed immensely since the 90s. Since the country is rather small and it got a lot of funds from the European Union to improve its infrastructure, Estonia managed to improve its infrastructure in a rather swift process. Both countries are also well connected between themselves. A short ferry ride of just 2 hours connects Helsinki to Tallinn. You can otherwise fly or even take a train from Helsinki to St. Petersburg in Russia and then one from St. Petersburg to Tallinn, although that journey doesn't make any sense if you want to do a fast trip. But if you want to see a lot of nice landscapes in Finland, Russia and Estonia, this is a very interesting trip. And then we start approaching the end of our video, but we still have to talk about the language. Both Estonian and Finnish are extremely difficult to learn. The reason for that is that they are not Indo-European languages, like English, German or Russian. They are part of the Finno-Ugric languages. Another known language which is also part of this language group is Hungarian. Estonian and Finnish are to some extent mutually intelligible, but not completely. However, if you learn one of them, learning the other one will be considerably easier and faster. And now my final considerations if you want to move or start a business or get a job in Estonia or in Finland. If you are looking for a job in the region and you manage to find one in Finland, it will be probably a better option than in Estonia. The main reason for that? Salaries are considerably higher in Finland. However, Estonia probably has more opportunities for expats, especially in the tech sector or in startups, so I think it is easier to find a job in Estonia than one in Finland, unless you are doing something very specialized. The problem with Estonia is that you'll probably get a lower salary than you would for the same position in Finland. If you are an investor, a real estate investor for example, or if you invest in stocks or an entrepreneur, Estonia has a number of advantages which I have mentioned before, such as lower taxes. This is critical if you are an investor or if you want to start a business. And Estonia also has a slightly lower level of bureaucracy than Finland. So that's it for today's video. If you have any question, write me a comment below. If you want to move to Estonia, please check our video on how to move to Estonia. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you want to travel, move or invest abroad, you already know what you have to do. Hit the like button, check our other videos, especially the one about Estonia, and most importantly, subscribe. See you next time.